Okay there, kids. It's Father's Day, so I can't think of a better day to talk about weed, vaping, Florida laws, and the whole thing in general. Yeah. So I'll just start with Florida here, Tallahassee. Um, they've made a law that went into effect about 4 years ago. I think it took them a while to get it rolled out. That it was a medical thing, and it's absurd, really. But it allows people that have a medical condition or claim that they have a medical condition to go down to these licensed medical marijuana stores and purchase vaporizers like what I use, or actual weed, or gummies, or they make this other stuff, resins, and I don't know. I don't. They do make some cookies, but anyway, I don't like smoking the grass anymore because it's actually smoke, and the vape will make me cough a little bit, but only if I take too big of a hit. So I've been doing this now for a couple of years, and this is my. I've had this going for a long, long time. This is a hybrid. It's like 30%. I don't know, 30% CBD and 30% THC, and then I don't know what else they put in it. Probably brain worms or something. Who knows? But this does not get me high. I mean, I keep this around and use it during the day sometimes because if something happens extraordinary, the first thing that happens to my mental capacity is a cigarette. So I haven't smoked now for, I don't know, it's been a few years. Don't know exactly. So I keep this around that I can, put something in my mouth and pretend like I'm smoking something. And that's really all this is for. Although I have noticed that the THC or the CBD part of this, I think, kind of clears my lungs out. But so does the regular. Then I have, let's see, this stuff. Now this is, you can see the difference in the size of it. Well, actually, they look about the same, don't they? Huh. That's funny. Because one of these was a gram. That's was this one, and then this one is a half gram. So, but this is um, sativa. Yeah, that's right. I get it mixed up because I grow stevia to sweeten my things that I make tea out of them, and in the summertime I soak stevia in water with mint and some other things, and it makes a real nice cooling drink that's sweet tasting. I don't, I just don't. I avoid sugar. Or I'll sometimes have very small amounts of it, but I avoid it pretty much. But then I'm a diabetic on top of everything else. So this is what I smoke. Probably starting around um, somewhere between 7 and 9 o'clock at night, and I'll smoke this until a couple of hours before bedtime, and then I have another one that's like this next to my bed. So then I'll have, you know. But I know this seems like I have a lot of this stuff, but I don't smoke very much of it. I just, I take little tiny hits. So, where was I? Marijuana laws, yeah. So in order for me to be able to do this, and buy this, I have to go to a marijuana doctor. I guess I lived long enough to say that. I actually had my doubts after about 20 or 30 years from being a kid that it was ever going to be legalized, because I just thought the right wing would lose their minds, and they did. And they still are. They're trying to pass laws now. Well, let me back up a little bit. So, $75 every 7 months now. Why is it every 7 months? And on top of that, once a year on my birthday, or near my birthday, they let me pay this one 45 days ahead of time. And that's for my actual license that looks like my driver's license, only kind of a watered down version. Not as much info on it. But it's like they took a picture of my driver's license and made a little card and gave it, So I get a new one of those every year in the mail, which is still pretty silly because even if I don't have that, I can go down and give them my driver's license or my old card, and they can look me up on the computer, and yeah, everything's fine. So it's all kind of redundant BS. Probably somebody in the government had a buddy who made, those cards or something. I don't know, Total speculation on my part. I think I'm the world's worst information gatherer. I just don't care that much. So anyway, that's what you got to do here in Florida if you want to smoke something. Since I started doing this, there's just vape shops popping up all over the place, and it's kind of good because they put this stuff on sale, and I get a senior discount of about 20% at one place, so I go there quite a bit. So these little vape cartridges cost me half grams. This is a whole gram. But the half grams cost $25. With my senior discount, they cost me $20 for one of them. One of them will last me in one of those pipes for about 2 weeks. So I go through 2 of them in 2 weeks because I use the 2 different kinds. This is just something I use. I barely use this. It's getting so old now. I mean, I've literally gone through these old batteries smoking this one, and I'm down to it. I think after these batteries are done, and then I'm gonna be pretty much exclusively using these. They cost a little bit more money, but they last so much longer, and they work so much better. All batteries are not the same. So in November now, we're going to have a referendum on just making it legal. So in the meantime, the Florida legislation, Florida government is frantically trying to pass laws that are going to really restrict the amount of THC, you know, the amount that you can buy. I have restriction on how much I can buy, but it's way more than I can ever use, so I don't even think about it. Now, I don't know what the new... So they're trying to make these new laws so that once because they're pretty sure it's going to pass, even though they made the threshold be a 60%, vote count. I don't know how they do that. I guess they take all the votes, and if 60% say yay, then does it. The projections are from local news, and what I've seen is 70%. The Trump rednecks here in Florida, they want their THC just as much as the anti-Trump Democrats want it. And God knows the independents, they're all just reefer madness. Well, anyway, for me, this is pretty nice because this stuff works pretty good. They've engineered it so that if I buy the same juice, it's pretty consistent in what it does. This stuff, I have to take, drugs for my health conditions. I am 75 years old now and a half. And so I get lots of aches and pains. I have to take statins, and I am one of the 15% people that take statins where it really affects my muscles. I mean, I just, I go out and work out and, work in my garden and stuff, and, the next day my back is all killing me, and all I did was bend over and pull a few weeds, and, and the way I look at things, it's not much, an hour or two, and I'm obliterated. So this stuff kind of takes the pain away of that for me. And then the indica that I smoke, which is my nighttime vaporizer, really, really helps me sleep. I mean, bam, I'm sleeping really solid 8 hours almost every night now. Unless something crazy happens, like a tornado or something, that wakes your ass up. And so anyway, I'm just talking about, I don't want to get into all my drug stuff that happened in my youth. I had my psychedelic times and all that, but I'll tell you, when I look back, weed has always been good to me. I've just never been one of those kind. I know a lot of people, it messes them up psychologically or something. I don't know. I don't really know because it's never affected me like that. I think there's been a couple of times when I've eaten it and I've had too much. And then the thing about it that I didn't like was that it just won't go away. It just hangs in there with you. But, I don't know what DeSantis is now, and I'm sure he's just throwing this red meat to his 30% of the people that live in Florida that don't want anything to do with this marijuana business. It's the devil's work or whatever the hell their twisted minds are thinking. I have friends over in Pensacola that are like Trump supporters. No, I'm not going to say friends. They're not friends anymore. But at one time they were friends of mine that are now Trump supporters, but they're all smoking weed. So Trumpers like weed too. I mean, I'm convinced of that. And there's a lot of Jesus going on over there with these people. They're always putting Jesus stuff on Facebook and saying amen and all that. But, I know they're smoking weed because one of these clowns I used to buy weed from when I lived over there 20 or 30 years ago. For years I did. So whatever. None of it makes any sense. Not one damn bit of sense. Now, I'm sure that all the stuff that they're trying to do, the legislator and the governor's office are trying to do to hamper all this, is going to end up like everything else, it seems like, in this country, in court. So, God only knows what will happen. But it seems to me if the voters voted in, then it should be voted in. And that's it. And the only way that a referendum can be curtailed is if the voters go in and unreferend it. Vote it out. But it should not be allowed to be legislated out by our legislature, or the governor sign some kind of declaration or whatever the hell they do. It's pretty crazy. So anyway, that's as much as my feeble mind knows about all this stuff. I'm gonna say adios. I got myself a green screen now. I just still haven't figured out how to use it. So, but at least my background is not a untidy laundry room where I have my studio now. And literally, my little studio is just so little. I used to have a whole single car garage, sound room, and everything. And now I have about 6x6 little area that I try to fit all my stuff in. Anyway, I will say adios, buenos dias, because it is the daytime. It just doesn't look like it because I have all these screens up now covering the windows, which is kind of good in a way. It's just not a distracting background. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and say adios, and I guess we can watch this little devil for a minute. What the heck? See what it happens. Oh yeah, okay. That's special. These hookah smoking caterpillar under a magic mushroom. All right, y'all. Adios. I gotta find my adios button. Always looking for that. Here we go.